Hi, it's Chris Watkin here, back with the third instalment of a video series with Andrew Rome, who used to be big in the game at Knight Frank. And in these series of 6 videos, we're talking about how estate agents can learn from the past to be better estate agents for the future. In the first 2 videos, we talked about process and technology. In this third one, we're talking about clients. Thanks for joining me today, Andrew. So where do client relationships come into the game when it comes to being a better estate agent and what we can learn from the past for the future?
Client relationship is everything, isn't it? Without that, then you're never going to have a business. What I was saying in my essay, I was just gently, slightly tongue-in-cheek, but not entirely, questioning whether the clients get the agents that they might deserve.
And do we get the clients we deserve, and vice versa?
Oh, I don't think any agent feels they get the clients that they deserve. They always deserve far better clients and far more of them.
Why do you think there's such a mismatch between what clients want and what agents want?
I think that, well, I'm not sure if there is. I think agents are bad at maybe telling clients what they need to hear. We've always been guilty of telling people what they want to hear.
Is that because of the type of personality who's attracted to a estate agency, what would be best described as a disc profile, eye profile, an influencer, a people person who's outward going? They want everyone to love them, so therefore they don't want to give people bad news.
I think there's an awful lot in that, yes, as we discussed.
We did discuss that in a previous video.
And I think that if an agent wants to be loved as much, if not more, than anyone else, maybe because, and you're probably battling against the background of what people think about estate agents as well.
Of course. I mean, if you go to Australia, there's a different type of personality who tends to be attracted to be estate agents. They tend to be a little bit more dominant, a little bit more thicker skinned, and they don't need the love and the affection of other people. Why do you think that is?
And I think that's the same in America, isn't it? From what one gathers, the realtors there. I mean, they're, as you say, tough-skinned. They're far harder. But I think that's probably just as a nation.
It's almost we as an industry, or the people that are the listers and valuers, the same skills that attract people to them because they use their people skills. Their biggest fear seems to be rejection, so they'll do anything they can. How many times have you been to a property where you think, God, this is a tip, they should tidy it up, but they never tell them that, and the property remains on the market 6 months?
Absolutely, and it's bad agency. You might lose some jobs. You might begin to get a bit of a reputation for telling people, but actually, if you're doing the job properly for your client, you should be telling them what they need to hear.
Do you think it's because we're very transactional in our approach to estate agency? I mean, both of us started estate agency in the 80s, you early 80s, myself late 80s, early 90s. In those days, before the corporates came along, it was very much charter surveyor firms, been around a long time, you go back to the same estate agents. I mean, does it surprise you that only 1 in 8 buyers go back to the estate agent they bought their house off?
I didn't know that statistic.
But those are the stats.
Right.
Yeah. But does it surprise you?
It amazes me because actually, I'm glad to say with our firm, it was just nothing like that. I mean, the majority of our instructions were people with whom we'd had dealings before.
So you were Knight Frank. I mean, what did you do differently at Knight Frank that we can teach the boys and girls out there in estate agency land?
Keep in touch with them. There's always, depending on who you work for, but there is something else you can help them with. You can do contact relationship management, isn't it? Once they bought a house, that is not the end of it. It should be the beginning of the relationship.
So do you pride you? I know you only retired very recently, but did Knight Frank have a stay in touch policy where they would keep in contact with the people that bought the houses off them?
It is massively important and was a huge part. I mean, you can imagine the database that we had over the 125 odd years. That is gold. It's absolute gold dust. If you're not mining in that seam, then you're making a huge mistake. People who think maybe the disruptors, as we described earlier, who think that actually you just do that deal and move on, they're not sustainable businesses.
I mean, Knight Frank are very famous. They have a great research department and they talk about the property market. Aren't you surprised that more estate agents don't talk about the property market, because that's what everyone's interested in?
Yes, but they're completely focused on just getting that instruction, doing that sale, end of, and going home. That's all they're thinking of.
And that's because so they've become more transactional over the years. Do you blame the corporates for that target-driven orientation, or?
I think every firm. I mean, I think there's a myth that not all firms are target-driven. I mean, we all had targets. You all have to try and achieve those targets, but there are ways of keeping those targets. I mean, it's rather like in the mortgage business. The mortgage companies, they always seem to want to sell you a new mortgage rather than actually get you to remortgage.
Interesting. I mean, over the years, did you see any changes for the bad at Knight Frank, or do you think they're getting it right?
Oh, it got progressively better and better and better, and became more and more important as the firm goes on. Because, yes, it was a big firm, but somebody buys a country house from us that almost certainly will have worked in an office building. They might have something abroad. They might have all sorts of other property interests which we can help with.
But if you think about it, I mean, Knight Frank are a big firm. They're a corporate, but they seems like to be acting like an independent.
Well, we're completely independent. I would dispute that we're a corporate.
Okay.
We're a private partnership.
Okay.
And the largest and only private partnership in the business.
Okay, so what do you think estate agents could learn from how Knight Frank did it?
Look after your clients and not look after necessarily your shareholders or the bank owners.
Interesting. In the fourth video, which will be the next one, let's talk about how estate agency over the years in the past has got more and more corporate, and how the power of the independent should hopefully shine through to give a better service and hopefully bigger fees. Is that
absolutely,
okay?
Absolutely.